How is everybody today?
Okay, I got the live stream started. And Lisa, yeah, I bet, Nicole.
Oh, yeah, with the snow and fire so much snow has been so important.
Yeah. Okay.
And so then Eva, you're also seeing, because I don't have the host now, you're seeing who's
in the waiting room.
Yeah.
Look. Okay, I don't see anybody else, I don't think.
Often I just click that participants box open and it I see them big when they pop in.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like we just have a couple of us today, but maybe we'll have a few more jump in here soon.
Yeah.
Lisa, you have all the rainbows behind you.
I do. I brought a one of those little crystals downstairs from upstairs because I'm in my basement. I have these real little windows up here. Really small, and but this time of year, as the light gets lower, I get a lot more light through and right on my face. Yeah.
Well, I know you have to go get your kiddos. I don't see anyone else coming in, so we might just have a small group today.
Yeah.
And like Lisa said, how is everyone today?
I see Megan doing a thumbs up.
It's good to see everyone. Lisa, do you want to say anything to this group before you pop out, or do you want me to just kind of jump in with?
What would I want to say for this group? I think the only thing that's on my mind, which I have both Nicole's here, is that Nicole Malone emailed to say that one of the participants, when she saw her new PDIS approved EQIT certificate, the points didn't work out right, and we have the PDIS team working on that. We're going to figure out why the points, sometimes the point, they call it the engine that puts the points into people's accounts, can sometimes be tricky, but it could be a problem with the way we set up the course shell. So we're digging into that before we upload several more classes starting this week. So I was really grateful to Nicole Malone for reaching out and saying her points weren't the way we were expecting them, because otherwise it could have been a long time. And she ended up with, I think this is the person who had 2 certificates in her account for some reason. And so we're digging into that to find out and taking a look. And so if this happens to other people also, please do let us know funny things that happen, because sometimes there's just a problem within PDIS and we have to work around it, but sometimes it's essentially a user error on our end, the way we set up our using of PDIS. So thank you for all of you for your patience in waiting for these PDIS certificates to show up. We'll just keep you in the loop on that. And also glad for you to keep us in the loop. Yeah, technology makes in theory, it's going to make things easier and better. And I think ultimately it is. For me to be able to click, send the certificates off to show up in people's accounts with no signing and no stamping and no mailing has been a great gift. And so we think we're getting that worked out. So yeah, I think that's the main thing. And I will, I'm going to go get my kids, and Eva will offer this open chatting time. And Eva, maybe I'll chat you when I get back if we're settled.
Okay, that sounds great.
All right.
We'll be here. Okay, thanks, Lisa. See you soon. All right, well, guys, we have a small group today. I feel like normally we have like 15 of us, but today's small, so that's good. I wanted to just ask you all what you have on your minds. The PDIS certificates is kind of a big change, and so echoing what Lisa said, I'm glad Nicole Maloney said that wasn't quite working, and I think that it's just good to know. And sometimes there's snags in PDIS, and so, but yeah. What else is happening in your worlds that you want to touch base about?
Hi, everybody.
Hey.
I have just something that I would love to rack people's brains about. If anybody has any resources, you don't have to like know them right this second, but if you know of any podcasts or videos or articles or short books that are around equity in the early childhood classroom, that's something I'm searching for some resources on that. We might do like a book group kind of thing, or a bit like a movie would work too, if somebody knew of something. So just looking for ideas. If there's something that somebody just recently participated in or read or saw or heard, just think of me.
Okay. Yeah, I'm thinking about, there's a film that might be good. Let me see if I can remember what it was called, Megan.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I know that we have resources on those, on that topic area for sure. So I can, one of our TA help people at the national level is amazing at finding resources, and because she works on a national level, she's plugged into lots of different states in their work. So I can ask her name's Holly, and she'll be able to find us at least 3 things.
Awesome.
Yeah. But if anyone else has stumbled upon anything, or podcast or books or anything like that, let me try to look up some of these films too, Megan.
We had Rosemary Allen do our annual in-service.
Oh, wow, nice.
Yeah, and Dr. Rosemary Allen. She was amazing. And we had so much interest from our in-service participants in the evaluation. We asked a question, would you be interested in a book study or something following up on this? And I mean, we got, out of 85, we got maybe 50 people saying yes.
Wow.
Yeah, so we'd like to be able to give a couple options, like, a movie, a podcast, or a book. And I'm reading the book Caste right now, which is about kind of the history of slavery and the caste system in America. And then it looks at Nazi Germany and India, the caste system there, and then slavery here. But it's really a big book. And I just think that, I mean, not that people couldn't read it, but it's not something that I would say, okay, and like read it. And in a couple of weeks, we'll sit down and have a book group of it. It's just too big. So looking for something a little more digestible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One of the films that comes to mind, I actually don't know if I ever saw this film, but Waiting for Superman. I don't know if you have heard of that, Megan, or if anybody else on this call has.
It rings a bell, but I don't think I must have seen it.
Yeah, let me send you.
I will watch it.
Yeah, let me see. This looks like this may be a link to the trailer for it. So let me see.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be about race equity. It can be about equity in any sense of the word, because I think, you know, our demographics look so different in different areas of the state and the country. So it can be about equity in different ways too.
Yeah, and this one is with, it looks like it's with Geoffrey Canada, who is just, he runs, I think it's called like the Harlem Preschool Project in New York. And he's pretty amazing and an advocate and does a lot of equity work.
Cool.
Yeah, this looks like this is the trailer for it.
Thank you.
Yeah, if anyone else has other thoughts or ideas, and I'll reach out to Holly too. And she is really good at finding articles and those kinds of things that would be a quicker read. That wouldn't be like a big book, and she knows the current research things. I'm just gonna find a sticky note so I can write that down. Oh, and so Nicole just added. Oh, both Nicoles, thank you. What is Nicole Wells? What did you add?
So EdWeb is like an online opportunity for PD, but you can also get CEUs from it too. And they're all free. And they've been doing a series on supporting this ability for equality and equity within ECE field. And it supports from an admin position all the way to teaching position, even to coaching positions of like how to expand and provide more ample opportunities for all children across the board. Some of them lead into like district level, but they also have ECE too. So EdWeb's one of my favorites I've used for a lot of resources like this because it's free and it provides, you know, PD and the CUE obviously is a great opportunity too for either writing a reflection paper or taking a quiz. So it's super simple to accomplish it, and free is always good too, especially when it's a strong topic such as this.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. I think I did a webinar. It might have been on EdWeb, and it was about boys and about, it was actually really good. And it was about equity. It was about, you know, are we asking boys to change for us, or are we changing our practices for them? And it was
valid.
really good. It was really good. So that's a great resource. Thank you for those, both of you, Nicole and Nicole.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you both. Looks like Nicole Malone also added a webinar, so that's great. Yeah. Yeah, I know that there's tons of resources out there. So we can find things for sure. And that's great, Megan, that you had such a great interest from your group.
Yeah.
Just
It was so, the way Dr. Allen presented was just so approachable that I think it was really engaging to people in a way that maybe some people haven't been able to engage around that topic because it can be scary and hard to talk about. And some people feel like this isn't really my place to be having an opinion. She just did it in such a personable way that I think people felt they could be engaged, which is wonderful.
That's wonderful. And then did you guys recently do that?
Yeah, it was last week.
Oh, cool. And so did you do it in a virtual format?
Yeah, it was on Zoom, and she did an amazing job. And we had breakout groups all day long. It was really like from 9 to 2 with an hour break for lunch. So it wasn't all day, but there were just a lot of really great breakout groups and learning opportunities and videos. She's amazing.
She is amazing. I know.
Yeah.
I have always respected her. That's just great. And it's really nice to hear that there's, you know, virtual things, virtual PD things like that that you guys have been doing for years, face to face, that you're still able to try to continue in a virtual format and have it be successful.
Well, I think it's a lot like, hopefully, at least my impression, people are finding with EQIT, which is more people are actually able to participate than might have been able to in the past because of, you know, their schedule or travel or whatever it is, just really opens it up to more people.
Yeah, that's so awesome. So great to hear. Well, thanks. And I know we had a few more people join, and Megan was just asking for equity-based resources. If anyone who recently joined has any other ideas, things that you, maybe a podcast that you listen to or something that you're reading or an article that you've come across. We were just kind of gathering those resources. And I'll follow up with you, Megan, too, with Holly. I'll add you into that email with her.
Thanks so much, Eva.
Yeah. And what else is on folks' mind today? What else is coming up for you? Nothing on your minds? One thing that Lisa and I have been working on, as I think many of you know, but we have been contracting with Sandy Peterson, who was one of the original authors of the EQIT curriculum. We're contracting with her to sort of do the buzzword for some reason is refresh. So she's helping us pull together some themes throughout the curriculum, and right now she's working on the background for each of the modules and editing them. Some things she's rewriting, reworking. So one of the things that we talked about in our meeting with her and her daughter Emily today was that they were interested in getting feedback from some of you all, from EQIT instructors, on what you think about the backgrounds, what you think about some of the new materials that she's working on. And so we're looking for volunteers for two different things. We're looking for volunteers to do some focus group work with Emily. And she's going to be just wondering kind of like what kinds of things are really important to you in each of the modules. what kinds of things are you like, no, please never take this away? And what kinds of things do you feel like could be changed or maybe should be changed that you feel like don't work very well, or you always have a hard time getting to this part of the, curriculum in the module because it's too jam-packed? Or so she's going to be looking for some feedback from some of you probably like the next month, I think. Not right away, but so I wanted to just put that on your radars, and if that's something that you're interested in and would like to know more about, you can let me know. You could let Lisa know, and I'm sure that we will send an email out to everyone and say, anyone who's interested, we're taking volunteers. So that's one aspect, doing the focus groups. And then another aspect that we are hoping to do is to sort of ask a few individuals to just look at one of the modules that she's rewritten. So have one or two people look at module 1, have one or two people look at module 2, and just kind of read through it and see how it sits with you. See what kinds of changes you think are appropriate and what things that you feel like maybe are missing, or if you're just like, yes, this is wonderful, I love the updated information. And Sandy's really working to just kind of update each one with new research and just the current practices. Some of the things are still really well aligned, and some things, as we know, change. Even from the time that I updated 12 and 16, we've already had things that have changed, such as the ELDGs. So so we're looking for people sort of for both of those. So if you're interested in and you feel like you have time, capacity to do either of those, and you're excited about doing that, then let us know. And I just wanted to put that out there to the group. I told them that I would mention that today on the call. So it's exciting. And so our trajectory is to have Sandy finish up the backgrounds for each of the modules, probably around the first of the year, towards the end of January. And then we will kind of compile information and be gathering information from everyone. And then after that, then she will go into each one of the modules into the actual curriculum and start to shift the learning experiences or add to the learning experiences. So it'll be a little bit of a process, and it's not going to all come out, by the time you're teaching next. But I just wanted to let you all know about that process that we're going through right now with them. Anyone have any questions around that or thoughts?
Yeah, I have a question, Eva.
Yeah.
Do you think that that would look like an interview session or a meeting or something, or are you just looking for written input? What would that look like?
Yeah, so I think the focus groups would be, something similar to this, where we had a group of, 5 to 10 people who would be willing to just either have conversations, or Emily may structure it more sort of like we did with the GPS folks with those focus groups, where they had sort of specific questions and then you wrote your answers. So that would look probably more like a meeting. I think the reading through one of the modules, one of the backgrounds, would probably be more like you reading through and then maybe meeting one-on-one with Sandy or Emily and saying, here's some of the things that I thought about, or maybe it's just I could write in an email, here's my feedback for you. So, yeah,
Thank you.
good question. Yeah. How does that resonate with everyone else?
I have another question, Eva.
Okay, Megan, you go.
Are you only looking for instructors, or I have a participant from the last time we taught that's just particularly sharp, and she just does a really great job with proofreading and giving feedback. So
yeah, when we asked that of Sandy today, what she thought, she felt like instructors would be sort of the number one, key stakeholders, just because you guys are the ones who are teaching it and are so well versed in the curriculum. And I think for reading the backgrounds, we would probably want instructors really only to do that, but maybe in focus groups, to have recent folks who have gone through the course just to see what landed well with them, could offer some really great insight too. So
yeah,
I think that we don't have, I think that we could still, we don't have like a firm one way or the other right now. So I think that we could talk more about that.
okay.
Definitely. But yeah, I think it would be nice to have feedback from participants too. Yeah. And what else is on folks' minds today? Anything else bubbling up that you want to chat about or think about together with this group?
Hi.
Hi.
I know you're surprised I have something to share.
Oh, hi, Leah. I didn't even know that you were on.
I've been waiting quietly. It's been good to hear new voices today. And I wish I had resources for you, Megan. I'm excited to see what comes together.
Yeah, we got a few good.
So my thought for this week is I have a participant who missed a class early on, and I sent makeup work, and she keeps asking me questions about makeup work, and I explain them, and then I hear nothing from her. And then at the next class, she says, oh, I didn't really understand that. So this has kind of been going on a majority of our course so far. And we finally met this week, and I said, why don't we just meet and go over it so I can, see what your questions are and explain it in a way that makes sense. And she said that was great. And we met, and it is apparent that absolutely nothing is really going in computing. For example, so the homework she needed to make up was early on, it was module 3 or 4, and she was still confused about responsive caregiving and what that looks like. And so what I'm feeling is she and I talked about, yes, it is good that she asked for help, and we spent over an hour working together on her makeup work so that she kind of understood what was going on. But we also talked about, now we're this far in the semester where I really am concerned that she doesn't have the understanding of the modules that we've covered so far. Moving forward, my co-teacher is her coach, and so they are going to work together before class each week to maybe review the material so that when she comes to class virtually she's feeling more comfortable with it. But it really was just kind of an, oh my gosh, what do I do moment? How do I support for all these modules passed? I noticed when we were talking together that me using our normal EQ language that I would use was confusing to her. So things like saying experiences instead of activity, or really talking about how she engages with families and how she engages with babies. I really felt like I wasn't meeting her needs, and so I had to adapt. So now that I have this information going forward, I'm wondering what you guys think and what is a good way to still meet the needs of my other students, while also trying to make sure that she knows that I hear her and I'm trying to get information to her in a way that's meaningful to her.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Leah. This is Gail. Great. Hi. Great job. Noticing that, yes, she may not have been understanding the material to begin with in the first place. I have a lot of second language people who, we have the exact same situation in Arapahoe County. We have a lot of people who do not read English, nor do they sometimes understand what we are discussing, because English is a second language. And some of them literally just came here 3 weeks ago. So, but they have to take this class. This week we had a participant, and I know Sarah sent homework, and the good news was she had an exact same co-worker who spoke that language, who may have understand a little bit more. And I told her to please ask her help from her co-worker to assist her. And this week I followed up. She missed module 3 also, maybe 4. And she was like, thank you very much for working with me. I don't think you realize I just got here in June, so I do not understand English very well. And I was like, so far you're participating? And I will take that.
Yeah.
She did not understand. She said, I am so sorry, I do not speak. I said, that's okay. I said, you know what? You showed up. She had a translator on her phone, and she tried to, she participates. And I said, thank you for at least doing the piece that you can. But she was so grateful that I took the moment just to acknowledge where she is at her language development. And this is not my first rodeo. Every single class I have teach for Arapahoe County, I always have and they usually come in like either 6, 8, or 10. And they have one person who does the translation. And I even had one class where she brought her 16-year-old daughter to talk for the whole group, so they can at least get the material taken down. So yeah, it is kind of difficult, but you know what? Those ladies show up for every single class. And I appreciate that as an instructor. So yes, I do understand your frustration. It is real. But at the end of the day, and it's so funny because sometimes when you go back to coach them, they're like, I am doing what you practice in my classroom. They're so excited to show you what they have taken. Even though they don't understand you, they're so excited to show you what they did in the classroom because they attended an EQ IT class. So take heart that at least you talk to her, you know where she's at. Does she have a friend in the group that could be her pal so she could talk to?
She does. I don't know how frequently they're meeting. And now that we're clued in, her coach is going to be meeting with her regularly also. I don't want her to feel lost. And you're right, having that pal is probably somebody who really could help her, and then having her coach check in and connect with her. I think one of my concerns too is both she and her pal have reached out because they want to take the course for credit, which is awesome. And I want to help them be successful with that. But I also want to make sure that she's getting the support she needs through Ames or through Front Range so that she can be successful in taking the course for credit. So.
Does her, I mean, I love your idea of supporting her every single week. I mean, I think that that's amazing and so responsive of you and your partner, coaching teacher. Does language seem to be a factor for her, do you think, Leah, or are you not sure about that?
I think it is to some degree. What she keeps telling me is my brain just doesn't get that. And so I think some of it might be language. I think some of it is, I think it just is a processing thing. And yeah. So I think it's a combination of both. And the good thing is that her coach also speaks her native language. Well, and I'm not sure. I know she speaks 2 languages. I don't know which one is her native language. I shouldn't make that assumption. But I think that I'm hoping that connection will really help the 2 of them as well.
Hi, everyone. This is Alicia. I was listening in. So I'm not an instructor yet. However, because at my school, I also do coaching and training. One thing that I come to understand is that even though the person English is their first language, sometimes the words that we use in ECE can be confusing. Like, because, when they go to school, they don't really tell them learning experiences versus activities for babies because they don't really use that language. However, I feel like I always took it upon myself where I go in the classroom and I model what I'm telling them. And I know, Leah, it's going to be too much for you, and because with the COVID and everything, but I just feel like sometimes with examples that might help. Let's say if something is talking about having experiences with a child, is to bring a baby in the classroom or act it out. I don't know. I just feel like sometimes you need to act what you're saying to someone. It's almost like you talk the talk and walk the walk. So just to help that person, because maybe it's confusing. Maybe the words that they use in her language is not the same in.
Right.
I'm a bilingual person too. I know sometimes when someone talked to me, it took me about a few seconds to translate everything in my brain. Not that I'm having problem with English, but it's just my brain works with all 3 languages sometimes, and it's hard. But I'm just saying sometimes it's good to act out some of those words for her in order for her to understand it. Hopefully that works.
That's all great suggestions. Yeah.
Leah, so Gail's right. I often worry, especially because I do multiple different types of coaching, that I really want people to take the beauty of this away with them. For myself, the ones I've worried about the most are the ones who are in a program that are not embracing any of this. So they hear this and then they try to connect it to something, and they've been told so many times, oh no, you've got to let that baby cry. You pick that baby up, you're going to spoil it. And so I sometimes feel like that's the battle, is that they know inside their hearts what's right. They probably felt that when they started work, but they have been getting this information. I don't know, but that when I've coached and when I've taught, that's often where I've got to, that I think they want to get it. I don't know if that's a factor or not, because it just depends on where they are. But and I love when Gail's saying partner up. She's been helping me a lot with these 2 participants, because I'm modifying makeup work as much as I can, but I don't know, but I do feel like when they're in our little bubble, it's often very different information that they're exposed to in their everyday life.
And it's so funny that you're saying that, Sarah, because we got some pretty I would say heated feedback last night from one of our classes because they just felt like the films were unrealistic. And they're like, we're in a classroom with this many kids and that's not how things go. And it really felt like it was from out of nowhere. We're like, wow, what's really going on here? But I think that is that, and that's what I was talking with my co-teacher about last night. I'm like, we are immersed in this. We love it. We live it. We breathe it. And this is their first exposure. So they're seeing it and they're seeing these films and they're like, yeah, that's great. But how does that apply in my world? And we're talking about how it's kind of like, as much as we were trying to help them feel validated and heard last night, about, yes, what you're doing is hard and we're doing it in COVID, so it feels totally different. It's kind of like the same reason that we don't do guidance in module 2, because we have to know all the steps and have our life and our little bubble, like you're saying, and get that far through the semester before it all really can come together. And so it kind of, I think this week I've had a lot of thoughts about, what is this EQ bubble? And is my EQ bubble working for the students that I'm having? Because sometimes it feels like maybe it's not. And so then it's like, okay, well, so how do we meet them where they are? How do we adjust that and twist it? So yes, I'm appreciating all of your guys' feedback again this week. Thank you.
Yeah, it is hard. I mean, I think, oh gosh, I mean, I think that's why we're doing what we are doing, because we want to help bring to light that having low ratios and group sizes really makes a difference in being able to be responsive to children. And like you said, sometimes that's the first time that the people in your course have ever thought that could be a possibility. And so if they see that and they think, that's not my reality, it can be hard for them to grasp. But also, sometimes it's those moments that makes us realize, wait a minute, are we doing the right thing for babies then? Is my program the right place for me then? And how can I be an advocate for the babies who are in my care? And we also have to try to help to support people where they are and try to find those positive things that they're doing, even when they're in a space or under leadership that is making it harder or more difficult for them. But, I think to all of your point, I mean, just trying to find any way to support, like Leah, your idea of having a coach meet with them, Gail, your idea of having a partner, a buddy. I remember teaching and I had a student like that who English was not her first language, and there was a lot of information that it was not, she wasn't sure, I wasn't sure if she was getting it. She wasn't sure if she was getting it. Then her daughter ended up coming. Her daughter was in high school and ended up coming to the class with her every single week and supported her. And it was amazing. And now Megan, her daughter, works in early childhood in Aspen. But sometimes it's just finding those little moments that you can connect with someone in whatever way it is. And I know that it feels like we're not getting there, or it's this bigger thing, and sometimes it feels overwhelming, like we're up against something that's hard because the system has not changed to support babies. But when we can find those little places, I think, to support someone, those moments can be so pivotal for them. And we may or may not ever know that was a pivotal moment for her. And maybe you will know that, you know, maybe someday in the future she'll come back to you, or you'll see her in a childcare program where she's made a huge change in her growth, you know.
So even that has actually happened to me. It was not one of my students. It was someone when I first started doing CSQI coaching. The lady has since passed away, sadly, but she had taken EQ a few years prior to me meeting her, and I was working with her in a young toddler room, and we were sitting on the floor, and I had met with her a few times, and then I looked up one day and tears were pouring down her face, and she said, I just suddenly realized. And so she was making some connections. It was in there, it was in her head. And yeah, I don't know. And clearly I don't even remember where she took it, how she took it, whatever the case may be. But something was laying the groundwork for her to and she actually ended up moving into an infant room, and for 3 years I supported her, and she was the most amazing infant caregiver ever. So yeah, I think the hard thing is that while we love the students, we also love those babies they're caring for, and we just so want them to take away what the information we're providing and the experiences we're providing. So but yeah, I don't know. I will say we typically have 3 or 4 people in a class where I'm not 100% sure they've got this.
Yeah.
I'm just not. I hope something's there, but I don't know. But even if just one thing, I try to hope, if there's just one thing you took away from this, you know. But I don't know about the doing it for credit. That's a whole different thing, isn't it? But
it is. But I think, Sarah, you're so affirming me, because this is a conversation that one of my co-teachers and I have had for a couple years now, where she's like, if we don't know that they can do it, we can't give them certificates. And I'm like, it's kind of different from that, right? We're saying they were here, they attended, we presented, and that we are trusting, we're planting seeds. And it may be that we don't see the fruits of those seeds ever, or that we don't see them for a couple of years. And that's just the faith we have to have. And so it's so validating to hear that you're saying that same thing, you know. You've seen it in action. And I worry about the 4 credit option, but I also feel like with the option that we have, I think where we're located, I think she can complete our course first and then go back and do some other work to actually earn the credit. And I think that's going to be a good fit for how she's learning, and will also give us more time to help make sure she understands the material. But it is scary sometimes that there are 3 or 4 that we're like, hope that worked. Yeah.
Yeah. And for those of you who are coaches, after we've taught a course and then we go in and coach, that same feeling can come back up. Like, no, but remember, we talked about all these things. And it's hard. It's hard to know that every single person is getting it. And we know that probably not every single person is, but like Sarah said, if they're taking one thing, then that's better than what they had before. And we have to just keep the faith in what we're doing, and remember that there's a lot of people who are getting it, who are making big changes. And so, but I can completely empathize with all of you. I feel like I'm going right back to, and we just finished our class, and so we definitely had moments of that too, where it was like, I hope that it's going to continue. And now we've released them to some of you all for coaching. And we hope that growth continues, but you just never know. And sometimes you don't ever get to know if you were that person who was a pivotal person, or if it was somebody else. and you were just the seed planter and the waterer. It's the hard part about being a trainer and a coach. The hard and the good. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if there was anything that we could do, let's just move into a creative idea place. I mean, how could we help to ensure that every single person left and got it? What could we do?
Well, I don't know about knowing if they got it, but we have lots of requests that people would love a refresher once a year, that they feel so passionate when they leave and they believe it. But for want of a better word, they feel like they get beaten down out in the real world. So that would be a way for it to continue. I don't know if it's a way. I don't know that you can make people believe until they're ready to believe, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. But I do think that finding a lot of our groups will set up their own Facebook accounts together and stay together like that. But the neediest of the groups, the ones that we're talking about, they're not participating in that part. No, the ones that are just like, you know, I was working with someone with Lena yesterday. I was like, oh my Lord, you could be coaching me right now. You know, she was a family childcare provider who has never done any coaching. She's just talking about this 5-week-old baby that she was getting today. And I was just like, some people just have it, don't they? And then I don't know.
Sarah, I love your idea of the refresher. I think that's such a great idea because, you know, even if somebody took it last year, there is, I'm sure, more that they can take away. But then you've got people who took it, you know, 12, 15 years ago or whatever. And I mean, I think it's a really good idea.
And we did one once in Larimer County. Alan and Sherry and I did that. I'm trying to think. It was probably 5 or 6 years ago. And it was great. It was very well received and people liked it. And then actually when I started this new job and started working with one of my sites with my CSQI work, she was like, oh, I know you. I took the EQ refresher. And I think what you're both saying is absolutely right, is getting that information in front of people keeps it fresh. And, you know, we're lucky because we're teaching it, right? So every week we open our binders, we review that background information and we put it out there and we are just in love with it all over again. But when I took the course, and even I took my binder to work so that I could still have it as a reference, it was a lot harder to live without somebody putting it right in my face. And so it makes me wonder about, I think, for me to really make sure that those people are clued in, everybody should get at least 3 hours of coaching. That's my goal, right? So maybe once a month, we're checking in throughout the course because that feels like that relationship is there. And I think I have had many participants who like signed up for coaching and then didn't get as many or whatever, but they randomly email me or reach out on Facebook because they're like, hey, I know you can help with this. And so I think if there's any way we can nurture that relationship and then also offer some kind of a refresher, and that can be hard too, right? Because you don't want to refresh about the exact same things every time because people will be like, I've already had that. And we all have other jobs and we all teach those people. So we know what it's like. But at the same time, it's kind of like teaching or taking, you know, the touch points ILT multiple times. Wherever you are in your life, you're going to receive that information differently. And I feel like that's exactly how EQ is. And so it's just figuring out how do we help bridge that gap? How do we inspire people? Yeah. Oh, yes. I love that too, Alicia. It is. It's a journey. Yeah.
It is. Yeah. So Leah, when you did the refresher, did you teach the entire 16 weeks and just offered to folks who had?
No, it wasn't like that. It was, I'm trying to remember. I think I was pregnant with Declan. I remember that, just barely pregnant. So I think we maybe did 3 or 4 nights. And so it was kind of essentially what we did was we consolidated our favorite experience from each module and touched on that, or we either looked at, and it's so funny, I'm pretty sure I just got rid of all those notes. I'll have to look and see. We picked what are the most important modules that if we really wanted people to be thinking about things again, what would we want them to think? And then we did some learning experiences from each of those.
That sounds really fun.
Yeah, it was. It was a great time. And people were so excited to have that information again and a time to talk about it. And really, like, I'm a Habitat homeowner. I don't know if you guys know, but we talk about being in Habitat, like once you're in the family, you never leave. And that's really how I talk to all of my people about being in EQ. I'm like, once you take an EQ course with me, like you're in my EQ family and you can't ever get rid of me. But that's why they call me for their resources, and we support that. And the relationships that I feel like our classes have made with each other are really strong. And those friendships last for a long time, long after they're done with us, I think, because of how intentional our curriculum is and how we provide that space for them to be close.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I wonder if that's part of what they're asking for when they're talking about, and they don't necessarily use the word refresher, but they miss being around people of like mind, people that they can have these open, free conversations with, and maybe not even like mind, but people who are accepting of their thoughts and processes, which you don't get a lot of places. And I've been fortunate enough, I haven't facilitated one EQIT group where they haven't all come to that, you know, where they, at least it feels like it from my perspective. It may not be true, but it feels like they all feel safe and connected there. So I'm wondering if that's part of the information, but people who also believe in the information as well, you know, that connection.
Absolutely. Oh, I love hearing these ideas. It just made me think about, like, what if we had like an alumni network or something like that, where folks who had completed EQIT were sort of a part of this alumni network, and they could access different resources, and maybe we develop a refresher, you know, course that once you were an alumni, then you could be qualified to take a refresher course. And I don't know, just a thought out there. See a couple little hearts. But definitely, I feel like we should talk more about the refresher. I feel like I have heard this from other folks, that would be something that would be beneficial. Not that this is the same at all, because it's in PDIS and it's online, but we do have the 6 PITC courses that are sort of like a series that are so aligned with EQIT. Lisa and I basically developed all 6 of them based off of the Program for Infant Toddler Care out of California. And also when people take those, they are allowed to access coaching that way. So just, you know, I know that that's not a face-to-face thing, and that's not necessarily a place where they're connecting in a group and having a learning community, but that they are available as an additional support. And they're free and anyone could take them.
I mean, could they be, because I know we've provided a lot of the PDIS modules face-to-face with groups of people. Could those be the basis for the refresher, just creating a face-to-face from them?
Yeah, that's a really great idea. And they're each just an hour long. So you could, you know, combine them, make them a 6-hour thing, or you could do 3 hours, or you could just do 1 hour. That's a really good idea, Sarah. I'll talk with Lisa about this, and
Well,
maybe this is something that we could do.
Lisa's been kicking around an idea for a while about professional learning communities.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if we can tie that in with this as well, because it might be that same thing where we're building those relationships and connecting in a more longer term basis, as opposed to just a few courses and then being done. I don't know.
Yeah.
And Eva, the ones I've used in the past, anytime it was 1 hour on PDIS, the face-to-face was 2, because there's so much more engagement.
Mm-hmm.
So it was designed for a 2-hour training when we access the face-to-face materials to provide the programs.
I love these ideas. Okay, well, I know that I think we're a little bit over time, and so I just want to be respectful of all of your days. But gosh, this conversation, it got me so excited all of a sudden. So thanks for bringing your amazing ideas and just being willing to share about what's happened in your communities and how it is hard to connect sometimes and make sure that everybody's getting it. And so I appreciate all of our thinking together on that. Well, yeah, I hope it goes well. I think you guys have a really great plan to support her. It sounds like. All right. Well, thank you also.
I just say it's good to see your face, Gail. I'm not in the office. And you're there, and you never have your camera on. So.
Yeah, because I'm in the office there. I'm home in my house. So you have to see my face. That's okay.
Well.
Yeah, great to see your faces, definitely. All right, well, you guys have a great rest of your day, and we will chat with you